Hey guys, Adam Rose, Vice President and Senior Loan Officer of Western Ohio Mortgage here in Sydney, Ohio. This is another episode of the Mortgage Guy Podcast, and this week you get to know Eric Jones of A&E Contractors and Home Services. I probably messed that all up because I just know him in so many different ways. Eric, thank you for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
So, first off, I didn't really recognize you because this is the first time I think I've ever seen you with a shirt on. So I have to ask real fast what that's all about. Because like every photo I've ever seen you in, there's no shirt. Ever.
So every time we go somewhere, my wife is like, don't take your shirt off.
So that's why.
That's the first thing that happens. I take my shirt off.
And now, when you have your shirt off, there's something special that I believe you lost a bet, and you did that?
Yes.
So I want you to give me a little bio on yourself, but you got to tell me about that first. I got to know.
All right.
So.
Well, married to my wife for about 20 years. We got 4 kids.
So we got 5 grandkids and 1 on the way.
Right.
Okay. And so you're from Sydney, is that right?
No, I'm from Dayton.
Okay.
My parents, they're from Dayton as well, but my mom got transferred to the Lima post office. Mm-hmm. So this was in between my dad's job and her job. Mm-hmm. So I moved up here 30 years ago. So I've been here.
And you're a lifer.
Yeah.
Not leaving.
We're stuck now.
Very good. So hang on. So we're past the bio piece, and we're already into personal stuff, right? I actually thought you'd probably coming in here with your shirt. So we can match energies if you want. But so the piercing, I got to know. I think everybody that's ever seen you on Facebook knows. But what happened there?
Okay, so we were at a race in South Carolina, and one of my friend's daughter was like, "If I win this race, you got to get your nipples pierced." Looking around, there's thousands of racers there from all over the country.
And
I'm like,
okay,
absolutely. So she won.
Yeah, she kicked ass.
Yep.
You held up your.
I
remember seeing it on Facebook. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I remember saying something about losing a bet. So,
and it hurt. Let me tell you.
I can only imagine. I'm going to pass on that one. So let's talk about A&E Home Services. So I saw your daughter threw out a pretty cool video the other day doing a shout out, being like, hey, if you haven't talked to my dad, you're an idiot. So because there's a lot of storm chasers out there around the lake right now that are chasing money probably from all over the place.
Exactly.
So obviously use local guys if you're not already. But so how long you been in the business as a whole before you started A&E? So did you grow up contracting or work in construction?
My grandpa was a roofer. My uncle owned a roofing company. I started out trying to sell cars. It really wasn't my thing. So I ended up in construction. I worked at Ferguson for about 15 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then 2007, we started the business. And 2009, we went completely on our own.
Very nice. Very good. So, I mean, what's the key? So you've been in business, A&E, on your own since 2009, so about 15 years.
About 15 years, yeah.
Right? So you're not keeping track. Are you going to do any 15-year anniversary shirts or what?
Yeah, I thought about it.
This is our 25th anniversary, actually, at Western Ohio Mortgage. So, Tim McMahon, get my hats in, buddy. What was the key to growing? I mean, because I see you all over Facebook all the time, and I think people love your posts. They're always funny and fun. I mean, sometimes you can rub people the wrong way, right, Eric?
I'm sure.
I don't think you really give a know what.
And maybe those aren't your clients anyway.
Right?
I mean,
they
if
may
you
not
can't,
be.
Facebook, don't take it so serious. We're supposed to have fun. Right?
Yeah. And then, some of the crap that's on there now, I'm just like, I wish we could just go back to the days of people taking pictures of their food and their kids. But so what's kept you guys going?
I think honestly, I mean, we've obviously went through experiences, but
sure, yeah.
Most of us really like what we do.
Yeah.
So we try to do our best, and most of our stuff is from referrals. So I think that's honestly the key. I mean, we try to do exactly what we say, and it might not happen every time, but
it's construction. I mean, once you dig into something, you don't know what you're going to find either.
Right.
So some people can understand that, and some people don't.
Right.
They're you quoted this. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's hard to please everybody.
And we have ate a few things, where it wasn't quoted that way, and I mean, like, I can't put that expense on you, so we're just going to go ahead and take care of it because it needs to be done right.
Right. And then, you know what? Any good small business owner, I think, does that. I
Yeah,
think.
hopefully.
I mean, most the larger you get, the less likely it's going to happen, right? Because their margins tighten up. But I experience that same thing. You know,
I'm sure.
we tell clients what they need all the time, and they end up short on cash, and we basically eat a bunch of costs and credit them down so they can get to the closing table in hopes that they're happy, right? And we move on, and hopefully they get us a couple of referrals, and we make up the difference at that point. So from projects, so what kind of projects are your favorite? Because I want to talk about all the things that you do. But do you have a specific type of project that you prefer to do?
Roofing is probably my favorite.
Number one?
Yep.
Okay. Why is that?
Honestly, it's my guys. I've had the same crew for about 12 years. They don't speak a whole lot of English. But they have an absolute blast when they are at your house. There's music going, they're dancing, they're singing, they get in there and they do their job, and nobody has ever called and complained and said, you know, hey, they're laying in the yard or smoking cigarettes. None of that.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I can't say I've had always the same experience, because I've had a roof put on before I even got to know you, and there were beer cans in the yard. You know, just like, what the hell is going on here?
We used so to say, white guys in the very beginning, and you're right. I mean, it ended up, hey, why are you guys still here a week later?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of like that post where you're paying for the experience and not the you know what I mean? Have you seen that where it's like, I don't understand, you were only here for 2 hours, why do I owe you $600? I said, well, I can come back out and waste another 4 hours if you want, but I got your job done fast.
Right.
And so what all does A&E Home Services do?
We do pretty much everything.
Okay, so is there anything you don't touch? Like, do we do structural, like foundation work, or anything like that?
We've built garages, poured driveways. We've done everything.
Everything.
The
gambit.
Yep.
I might have a garage quote that you need to do for somebody for me. 2-car garage. I got a concrete guy already, so but we'll deal with that. So you do interior remodeling. Do you guys do kitchens at all?
Yes, we've done quite a few kitchens.
Very good.
Bathrooms,
tile work, everything.
Everything. I have a guy that works for me that he's been with me almost since the beginning, and he can do absolutely anything.
Nice. So when it comes to how you guys bid out your jobs, and just so people are aware, so there might be realtors that need to use your work, especially with all the storms that have come through. There might be clients that are like, been looking for somebody to roof. I didn't know this guy was all over Facebook, or I wasn't friends, so they may just now be seeing you for the first time. Right. What's your process look like? So what's the best way? Is it to contact that phone number that you advertise with? Is it an email? Do you have a preference?
Contact, phone call or text. Usually a phone call's better, because that way I write it down and don't think, hey, I can remember this if you text me, which never happens, which I'm sure you've ran into.
I have. Yep. I usually email myself.
Right. I remember. You don't remember.
I don't remember. I email myself. So what's your turn time look like? So like if I contact you today, like what, I know it's going to vary based off of where you're at, projects and stuff like that, but what's your typical turn time to say, hey, yep, I can be out there in 3 days and bid out the job? What's that look like typically?
Generally, I mean, I have my son working for me now, who he turned 19 this year, and he's got into sales. So generally we can get out there within the next day or so.
That's usually the biggest, well, not always the biggest, but that's a big challenge that a lot of people face with contractors, is, especially when we do renovation lending, because that's our piece of it in the lending side that we deal with contractors all the time, is actually getting someone out there to do a quote.
We hear that all the time.
3 weeks.
They won't
4
show
weeks.
up. They won't show up. And I really don't understand that.
Yeah, because it's money.
I'm pretty sure that we put on more roofs than anybody in Shelby County. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how you cannot make your appointment. Right. That just blows my mind.
Yep. I don't get it either.
I mean, we've done it on the weekends and the evenings, and I've got to a little bit more to where I can kind of try to cut it off at a certain time. Right. Which I know that's hard for you as well.
Yep, it is.
But you gotta try to balance it out with the family.
Right. Well, your reputation's everything. Right. So, I mean, there's thousands of lenders out there. So what differentiates me from someone else? And it's me picking up the phone at all hours at night, and Sunday mornings doing pre-approvals, and that's just the way it goes, and that's how we stay in business, and we hope all the local citizens use local. That's the big thing here, and try to keep some of the big players out of the other markets. But I want to talk about real fast is 203K renovation loans. So we've done some podcasts on 203K renovation loans. We do USDA, we do FHA. There's a conventional option out there, which is really rough right now, so I'm not really advising it. But you are an approved contractor on our list that have dealt with this before. And a lot of people have this fear of, well, I got to fill all this paperwork out. I don't want to do it. So once we get someone approved, right, they're approved for the entire year, and all they got to do really is update their insurance and like update a few little things, W-9. Very easy. So not to put you to spot on this, but you've done a few for us, and they're a little different. But I mean, what's your thoughts? What are your feelings towards it? Is it just like, hey, nope, don't do them, or you know what? It's money. It's just like anything else. You do the job, you do get paid. The money's there. I mean,
right.
what's your decision?
That's it. I mean, do the job and you will get paid. The first one, Kylie was great. She walked us through what we needed to have filled out and everything, and then after that, it's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
So
right,
you do your job and you do it right. They come back out and inspect it. Everything looks good, and you get paid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the thing is, some of the downsides of it on our end is trying to get estimates broken out, because that's the problem with it, right? It's a government-backed loan, so they want to see, well, you got to break out your labor costs, you got to break out your material costs. So it's a little meticulous, but nonetheless, if the difference is, hey, I can land this $40,000 job or I don't know why you wouldn't do it, right?
Right. I mean, take the job.
And you guys should have insurance out there if you're calling yourself a contractor. So
right, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, it's
and
not.
That's another thing. We use Reese Insurance over here for our business insurance, and I send her an email, and she sends it all straight to Kylie, and we go from there.
Done. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, if you're concerned about 203K lending, because there's in this market, there's a lot of houses out there that if they're priced aggressively, a lot of times they don't qualify for much, right? Because today's $150,000 house can be a little bruised up and needs some work. So if you're a first-time buyer or even a second-time buyer, if you have a vision and you can get past the look of it now, consider looking at a renovation loan and using a local contractor and financing in those repairs, and then make it your dream home. So have a little bit of vision there. So, all right. So we got through company stuff. So I want to talk about some of the stuff that you hobby in, and one of your hobbies is BMX.
Yeah, my
How did this all happen though? I felt like it came up overnight, and then like you're in it, like almost like a full-time job. It seems like
pretty much a full-time job. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I raced for a little while, for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then one day we had left a soccer game here, or no, actually, my son then was 7, so we went to a soccer game in Brookville, and we happened to stop by the BMX track that was there when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So this old man comes over and starts talking to me, and he's like, "I remember you. You guys drove this car and this car," and I'm like,
"That's crazy.
No way. I haven't seen you in however many years." So he took my son to the side, and pretty much that was it. He hooked him. I mean, he was there, and we've
loved it.
We've been there ever since. And he's 19. He doesn't race anymore much, but my 14-year-old still races. Yeah. And now we run a track in Kettering, Ohio, and one in Dayton, Ohio.
So you run the track. So you're the commissioner.
Yeah, we're the track operators. So
very cool, because we are a proud sponsor of A&E Racing, but because I always see team A&E or
we also have a race team.
Yeah. So how many kids are on that? Oh my goodness,
12 or 15, I think.
Wow. Yeah. And you just traveled. You were in New Orleans?
Yeah, we were in New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So you travel all over the place for it. That's really cool. I mean, that's I know it was for getting your kids in it and doing it, but now you're just doing it.
Now we're deep.
Yeah. Is there any daylight? Are you going to be able to get out of it when you need to?
I don't know.
You got somebody to pass the torch on to, or what?
Well, like I said, Ethan, or my youngest son, he's 14, so he'll probably ride. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have people on our team that are 40-something that are still riding, but you know how teenagers go. So
yeah, right. It's hot one day, then it's off.
Right. And he's been doing it that one's been doing it since he was 4. And we're in the process of doing a $200,000 rebuild down at Kettering.
Yeah.
And once I want to see that through.
Yeah.
Whether that takes a year or 5 years, I want to see.
What's the fundraising looking like for that?
We got some money from the city.
Good.
We got some other people kicking in sponsors or kicking in money, and we're starting a brick program as well.
Okay.
That will raise quite a bit of money for it.
Do you have a website for it or anything like that? Or
it's just now starting to get rolling.
All right, guys, you heard that. So if you're watching, you want to contribute to that, shoot an email out to myself, and I'll get you in touch with Eric, and we'll have all the contact information for his company on the YouTube channel and the page, and we'll share it on Facebook as well. But last two things I wanted to talk about. One, this fun battle on Facebook with Mr. Chris Elsner. So it's not a battle. They're good friends, just for the record.
We're really good friends.
So I always see you're poking the bear first. I rarely see him doing it. It's always you, and then he retaliates. So how far back does this relationship go?
Well, me and Chris been friends since we moved up here, probably
30 years.
For 30 years. And the more weight Chris gains, the more he looks like me. So,
except he usually has a shirt on a little bit more often than you do.
He does
except
have
when
his
he's out
shirt
by the
on
pool.
quite a bit, right? But
is he the guy that wears a shirt in the pool and looks like he fell in?
Even his dad's like, the bigger you get, the more you look like him. So we tell everybody we're brothers and stuff like that. But no, it's all in good fun.
Very good. And then the last thing I usually ask people, and I gave you a warning on this to see if you had anything unrated. So PG-13 style. I mean, listen, here's the deal. If you start dropping F-bombs, we're just going to, it's fine. We'll bleep it out. It's all good. So do you have any interesting or funny related work stories, industry related stories that you'd like to share with anybody that's happened to you or anybody that works for you?
When we first started, I was back on the roof then. We went down on the weekend to put a roof on a house. And I'm up on the house tearing the roof off, and I look and I see these people drive by and wave at me. It's down in Tip City, and it was my customers. So my stomach dropped in. I knew something. So I went down and knocked on the door, and an Asian guy come to the door, and he didn't speak no English. So we had tore the roof off the wrong house.
Oh no!
We hurried up and put it back on and moved on with life.
Oh, God.
Never said anything. So somebody down there got a new roof. I'm guessing the guy that answered the door was a renter for Honda or somebody and didn't know any difference. So I called my customers and it's like, oh yeah, we got you on for next weekend. I didn't tell them what happened. But they were about 3 houses apart and they looked identical.
Yeah. Honest
so
mistake.
Always check the address.
Yes. Rule of thumb, contractors, check the house number and the street that you're on.
Exactly.
So that's all we got for you guys this week. Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
It's good to catch up. Guys, remember, subscribe on YouTube. Remember, it's free. Share it on Facebook with your friends. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we will see you all next week.